So last week during Howie Roseman's interviews, many of us, including myself, were taking him at his word. However, if you really step back and think about what he said, then you think about the reports that the Eagles are looking eventually to get Zach Ertz signed to an extension. When you look at the reports saying that the Eagles have shown a ton of interest in wide receiver Jalen Reagor, one thing becomes clear. Howie Roseman was protecting the plan. He's protecting the plan from the media, the fans, and maybe other teams. And the plan is simple. If you're going to run a 12-man personnel, you got to get a lot of speed and a lot of weapons. Yo, everybody, how you doing? King Dingbat here. So today we have come with the hell is that? It's a big ass dog. Dallas still stinks. Yo, everybody, how you doing? King Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great day, a great weekend. And before I start this video, I just want to take a second and I want to thank everybody who's been watching my videos, who's been coming to my live streams, who's been commenting in my comment section, who's been calling me Dingbats. All of you guys out there, I just want to thank you so much because you have made this whole time being locked down in the house so much easier, and I really appreciate it. I know a lot of you guys are going through some really hard times out there. I've heard some stories and things like that, and I just want you to know, I'm praying for all you guys. Hang in there. Things are going to be okay. I trust that God has got us, and you know what? It's going to be okay. But I am lucky to have you guys because you make it so much easier for me. You make it enjoyable to come do these videos, and I'm blessed and I'm honored to have subscribers and viewers like you guys. So thank you very much. I just wanted to take that moment because we've made it another week through this thing, and it's going to get better. It's going to get better eventually. You guys are the best. You're the best. And actually, I may be going live later on tonight. It's 50-50. I'm not sure yet. But if not tonight, definitely tomorrow. So if you haven't, hit the subscribe button. Hit that little dingbat bell. That way, when I do go live, you're notified. You can come in, hang out with us. We'll talk Eagles. We'll talk football. We'll double moonwalk some Dallas Cowboys ass. Maybe we'll even send Mark Holmes a carbohydrate. So it'll be a lot of fun. So in this video, what I want to talk to you guys about now is the Eagles' plan for offense going forward. As many of you know, we have signed no offensive players in free agency. Nobody on the offensive side of the ball. Then we have Howie Roseman come out in interviews last week, and he's talking about, the wide receiving core and how, the front office likes and values their receiving core a little more than the fans, which kind of scares me, to be honest with you. And he kind of implied that Alshon Jeffrey was going to come back. He has a lot to prove. Never really saying, Alshon wasn't the rat in the locker room. He never said anything like that. He just said, Alshon has a lot to prove. And whatever. I'm not even worried about the whole rat thing. Okay, that's not even the big deal for me. But Howie Roseman said some things that when you first listen to it, you think, oh no, they're going to go down the wrong road here. I don't know what they're doing on offense because they need wide receivers, okay? So that's your first thought. That's my first thought anyways. Then, the next day, it comes out that the Eagles picked up Zach Ertz's contract. No big surprise. They were going to do that regardless, okay? However, attached to those reports, there are reports saying that in the next few months, the Eagles are going to sign Zach Ertz to a long-term contract. Now, this comes after we know that Zach Ertz declined a contract offer to make him the highest paid tight end during the season. He wants to be paid as a number one wide receiver, okay? So when you get those reports, and then there was some chatter about the Eagles having been in touch with Jalen Reagor many times, having talked to him on the phone many times so far. So when you take those two reports with Ertz and Reagor, and then you think about what Howie Roseman is saying, okay, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense what Howie Roseman's saying. And the only reason that I can think of that he's saying certain things is because he doesn't want to give the plan away. Okay? He doesn't want to give the plan away. Now, let's assume, okay? Let's assume that they are going to sign Zach Ertz to a long-term extension, which I believe is exactly what they're going to do. I believe that's going to happen, okay? Now, many of you guys know my position on Zach Ertz right now, being 29 years old, having a tight end behind him. I'm not going to get into a debate on this video about whether or not we should re-sign Ertz, we should trade him, or anything like that. I'm going to work under the assumption that he's signing a long-term extension, okay? For those that don't know, maybe this is the first video you've watched of mine, my position really quick is basically that you have Dallas Goedert behind Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz is 29 years old. He signs a long-term extension. You're going to also have to sign Dallas Goedert to a long-term extension. That's a lot of money to be paying just one tight end position. Maybe while Zach Ertz is still 29 and at his prime and his max value, maybe you can shop him around and possibly trade him for a lot. Now, what compensation? I don't know. It would have to be a lot, but I'm open to the idea of at least seeing what you could get for him. You don't have to pull the trigger, but at least seeing what you could get for him. And at very least, if you don't trade him, I would say don't sign him to a long-term extension. Let him play out his contract, maybe add one more year to it, but don't get caught 5-6 years down the road with him when you have Dallas Goedert. You're going to have Dallas Goedert for a long time. So that's basically my feelings on Zach Ertz signing a long-term extension. But I'm not here to debate that. That's just my opinion. What I'm here to talk about is the fact that it's probably going to happen that they sign him to an extension. I accept it. And look, I'll be fine with it. I love Zach Ertz. I think he's an all-time Eagle great. I think they should put him in the Eagles Hall of Fame. All those good things. I love Zach Ertz. However, I also know that this is a business and that you got to do what's best for the team sometimes. But the Eagles are going to sign him to an extension. I accept it. I know that that's going to happen, and it is what it is. I'm okay with it under certain circumstances, okay? And I want to get into some of those things because if the Eagles sign Zach Ertz to an extension, they're going to give him 3-4 year deal, whatever. After next year, they got to sign Dallas Goedert. You cannot let Dallas Goedert, a guy that you traded up to jump the Cowboys, you cannot let him walk. So you have to sign him to a long-term extension. Hopefully there's no problems where he's like, I want to go somewhere and be the number one. But you're going to have to sign him to an extension, and you're going to have to sign Zach Ertz to an extension. And when you do that, and you have both those guys making a lot of money, what the Eagles are basically telling teams is we're going to run a lot of 12-man personnel. We're going to run a ton of 12-man personnel. That's going to be our bread and butter, okay? You think about, the New England Patriots when they had Hernandez and they had Gronk, right? They ran a lot of 12-man personnel. Now, there were two things that were really different about what the Eagles do and what the Patriots do. First of all, Hernandez and Gronk came out the same year, so they were both playing under rookie contracts. They weren't expensive. Secondly, if you look at the personnel around Gronk and Hernandez, maybe they didn't have always the best receivers, but they had fast, quick guys, okay? So the Eagles, last year, when they had 12-man personnel and no receivers, a lot of times teams were getting, corners like Gilmore when we played the Patriots, guys like that, and putting them on Ertz. They were putting their best corners, best defensive backs on Zach Ertz, and it caused us a lot of problems. Not because Ertz couldn't get open, but because nobody else could, okay? So if you're going to run, and the Eagles are going to commit to 12-man personnel, okay, and running that, then bringing a guy like Alshon Jeffrey back doesn't work. You have to change the kind of receivers that you have on the outside to complement your tight ends in the middle. It just has to happen. So when, we hear that the Eagles are bringing back Zach Ertz and they're going to sign him long-term, and then we're hearing that the Eagles are happy with the receivers and they're happy to have Alshon Jeffrey back, or they want him to prove himself, I have to wonder how true that is, what Howie Roseman is saying. Because if you're really going to run 12-man personnel and you're going to have that kind of offense, then you have to get receivers that complement that offense to run it to its maximum. And the Eagles, they aren't built like that. They are not built for that 12-man personnel. I know a lot of people think they are. Of course, they have the tight ends for it, but you don't have the outside receivers for it. Basically, when you have Alshon Jeffrey or Whiteside on the field, it's like having 3 tight ends out there because they're all slow. Okay, now, Ertz and Goddard are slow in terms of a wide receiver. They're okay for tight ends, but they're not wide receivers, okay? You need legitimate speed on the outside, both receivers on the outside, to run that 12-man personnel. And I'm saying, if you're going to run the 12-man personnel, then let's run it right. Let's run it right. Let's get the right guys around us to do it. And in order to do that, you're going to have to get speed on the outside. You need at least 2 speed wide receivers. So who am I thinking about? Henry Ruggs and Jalen Reagor. Now, the reasons I bring up Henry Ruggs, he's the fastest wide receiver in the draft. The reason I bring up Jalen Reagor, because he's fast and the Eagles have shown a lot of interest in him so far. So those are 2 guys that you could put on the outside that would help the 12-man personnel to run its best, okay, to run to its maximum. You remember last year, right, when the Eagles, they had a lot of injuries at wide receivers, right? And what did teams do to combat the 12-man personnel? They basically took their best corners or defensive backs and they put it on Ertz. And a lot of times it worked. Not that Ertz didn't get his catches or get open, things like that. But the problem was that the outside guys couldn't get open. Okay, even with a lesser corner on them, they still weren't getting open, and it was a big problem. If you add guys who are big and physical like Alshon, I think it really hurts how good the 12-man personnel could be, because you don't have somebody who's keeping the defenses honest, forcing them to cover the whole field. And those 2 guys, those 2 tight ends are going to be your main guys, okay? That's where your offense is going to be run with that 12-man personnel. Those guys need to be able to have space. They need to be able to get open. And the best way to do it is to go from big physical receivers like Alshon Jeffrey, and try to go fast speed guys like a Tyreek Hill, like a Henry Ruggs, like a Jalen Reagor. I think Denzel Mims would be perfect for the situation. Even maybe Justin Jefferson. But if you're going to run 12-man personnel like the Eagles want to, and I'm saying they're going to because if you're going to pay Zach Ertz that kind of money, you are basically committing to 2 tight ends long term. And if you're going to, say, hey, we're going to pay you all this money, you're not going to sit one guy on the bench. They're both going to play a lot. So I expect a lot of 12-man personnel over the next many years. And it's time to get receivers that actually complement that make the 12-man personnel better. The Patriots, like I said earlier, I think I said this earlier, the Patriots, they ran Hernandez and Gronk. They had maybe not always the greatest wide receivers, but they were fast and they were speedy, and it made the tight ends better underneath because they had more space. And this has got to be a big priority. And if Howie Roseman is being honest, and they're going to put guys like Alshon and Whiteside out there long term with 12-man personnel, you're not going to maximize those tight ends doing that. You need to get speed. You need speed wide receivers. So I talk a lot about speed. I talk a lot about Henry Ruggs. I talk a lot about getting the fast guys. Well, it even holds more true if you're going to run a lot of 2 tight ends. It just is. So I think that what we heard about, from Howie Roseman the other day, based upon just knowing what the Eagles look like or what it looks like they want to do on offense going forward, I think Howie was just saying what he had to say. He didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. He didn't want to cause any problems. He also didn't want to hurt any trade value. He didn't want to do any of those things, and he said what he had to say. So, yeah, I'm still not sure what's going to happen with Alshon Jeffrey, but I do feel very confident now that the Eagles are going to go into this draft and look for speed at the wide receiver position. And I'm predicting that they're going to take 2 wide receivers in the first 2 rounds. And it just makes sense. It just makes sense. Now, they could always throw us for a curveball where, all of a sudden one day, or the draft comes and they trade Ertz, some blockbuster trade. Well, that's totally different. But if we take everything at face value, or at least the reports that they want to sign him to an extension, which I believe they tried to do it in December, or, that, and then, you have Dallas Goedert, who they're not going to let go. You're going to be running a lot of 12-man personnel for years to come. And the best way to maximize it, like I keep saying, speed wide receivers. Not just 1, but 2. And Deshaun Jackson, he'll help for a year, maybe 2, but he's 33 years old. So I think that speed wide receiver is the plan going forward. I think the Eagles are going to go in this draft. I think they're going to be aggressive. They're going to get a top 3 wide receiver. And I expect the Eagles to take 2 receivers, probably in the first 2 rounds, and they're both going to be very fast. That's what I predict. And that, with those 12-man personnel, will make one hell of an offense. It will make one hell of an offense. So tell me what you guys think in the comment section. Do you think I'm right about that? If the Eagles are committed long-term to both these tight ends, that you're going to see a lot of 12-man personnel, and the best way to maximize that style the 12-man personnel is to add speed on the outside. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Like I said, I may be live later on today. We'll see. But hit the subscribe button. Hit that little dingbat bell. That way you don't miss anything. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. And don't be a dingbat.